Hmm. Okay. So, before we go any farther, can anybody actually hear me? Excuse me. We tried this before, and we didn't have any audio. Now, I see audio happening down here, so hopefully it's really going on.
I don't see your new thing. I just see the old one. In case that.
All right. Don says we have audio. Okay, so reload the page probably,
Yeah,
Colleen.
I did that twice.
Oh, okay. So apparently, here's a lesson for everybody. If your computer has been being used for Zoom, you might want to reboot it before using some other sort of broadcasting stuff. So I'm using OBS Studio to broadcast, which is what we broadcast on our Twitch feed. And apparently, if Zoom has been being used, at least on my system, it will not relinquish the microphone so that you can use it. Because we did this last week and it worked just fine. Everything was great. But for whatever reason, Zoom really did not want to let go of the microphone use. It gave us the camera just fine. But that's okay. It's only frustrating because it worked perfectly last week. And this week it went, nah, maybe not. So last week we did the unboxing of Captain Rex from the Oga's Cantina in Galaxy's Edge. He's not a captain anymore. I guess he's a DJ now. He got demoted, or he left the service and he became a civilian. But and we did the RC Bluetooth speaker, and I have that all set up and ready to go. And we'll go check that out a little later on. And that was the bonus one. Before I had actually done I did a little seat that I got from China, which was this collapsible thing, which was very kind of cool. It actually has turned out to be pretty helpful, and I've been using it around the house when I've been working on areas where it'd be nice to have just a small thing to sit in, but you don't want to drag a chair all around the house. Like, cleaning out drawers and things like that, which I think everybody's doing. I think we're all going through our stuff right now and sort of trying to tidy stuff up and get rid of stuff. I've been filling trash can after trash can full of things, getting rid of stuff, condensing things, cleaning bookshelves. I'm working my way counterclockwise through our regular broadcast studio and throwing stuff out and condensing things, and because things collect. We've been in this house for almost 20 years, and things collect after a while, and you gotta get rid of them. And all the theater shows that we do, and so I've got like a stack of scripts over here in binders that I have to get rid of, and I'll save like maybe one from each show, just so that we have one that we can refer to without having to go look it up digitally somewhere. But I had buckets of uh, bookmarks and things from our It's a Wonderful Life show that we were distributing at all the libraries and things, and just it collects. It gets everywhere. Um, I will make allowances for things that you actually collect, like plates or Star Wars toys or whatever your thing is. Those are the things you mean to collect, as opposed to the things that just accumulate. I guess that's the difference. There's collecting and there's accumulating. So anyway, what I had wanted to do today, because if you guys are like me, you might be jonesing a little bit for Disneyland and for Walt Disney World and all of the theme parks that are closed around the world. Um, as an annual pass holder for the first time in a very long time this year because of Galaxy's Edge, I've gotten very used to going there and like working out. And when I say working out, I mean like walking around the park at a brisk pace for about 10 miles. And then, as a reward, you get to do whatever you want. Like, okay, well, I just did 10 miles walking around Disneyland. I'm going on Star Tours or, whatever. So, obviously, not doing that. And we're kind of taking walks around the neighborhood. doing that Pac-Man thing where you like walk down a sidewalk and then you see someone coming in front of you and then you divert to go around them, and it's, it's like playing Pac-Man. It's like, oh no, ghosts, run, which is kind of fun, but obviously not exercising as much as I want to, and certainly not getting a Disney fix, which, regardless of what you may think of Disney and Disneyland and all those kind of things, the park's a pretty great place to hang out and just sort of, detox. And I'm a people watcher, so I like going to watch people. And, I'll just go and hang out and have nothing actually important to do. And it's kind of nice. Although, sometimes I'll bring a laptop or I'll bring a tablet and I'll, do a little work or answer some email or do things like that. But it's a pretty good place to do that from. And certainly, my heart goes out to all of the people who work at Disney who have been furloughed for now. And they're getting paid up through April 19th, I think, but we haven't heard anything beyond that. And some of the people that I know, like Jennifer, is having an anniversary. It's like her 6th anniversary of working for Disney. And she doesn't get to celebrate it because she's not there. She's at home, with like the rest of us. So that's kind of a bummer. And I do feel bad for anybody who's had to kind of give up on their job for now to do it. Colleen is at home doing her job from home, and it hasn't been more relaxing. It's totally more stressful, and the line between work and home is very blurry now, like even more so. She was always, answering emails and doing stuff up till like 8 o'clock when she got home. Her job like didn't stop at the office door, which kind of sucks. But, now there's like no delineation at all. And the same computer that she sits at all day is the same computer she comes home to play on, and even if it's just like a game of solitaire or something. So that's kind of a drag. I'm used to that. The computer I sit in front of all day long is also the computer that I usually do our Twitch broadcast from, and I do the radio show from, and I pretty much just live in that chair for 10, 12 hours a day. So I'm kind of used to that. She's a little less so. And fortunately, we're not like at each other, which is good. We're just like chill.
I so much wanted to throw something at you when you said that.
I don't know if you heard that. She said she totally wanted to throw something at me.
There is nothing soft.
But there's nothing nearby except a pillow. But our pillows are murder. Our pillows are really heavy and clunky. But that would have been really funny.
Yeah. I'm just not fast enough.
That would have been awesome. So anyway, I thought I would open something that I got at Disney just before they closed. And maybe it's a minor spoiler for Rise of the Resistance if you haven't ridden it yet. There are only 2 toys that I'm aware of that relate to Rise of the Resistance. One is a little die-cast transport ship, which is part of the ride. When you go and first get on the ride, you encounter that ship. And then the other one is an escape pod that you have a bit of an adventure in. So if you haven't seen Rise of the Resistance and you don't want any spoilers, you might want to duck out. Otherwise, it is just a toy, so hopefully it wouldn't, spoil things too badly. Or if you're game for that, that would be great. I'm gonna look over here and see Nick Trapani, the guy that I went to high school with and I hung out with. He hasn't done Galaxy's Edge yet. Kit says I have an Echo now. I don't know why I have an Echo. I can look at my things, but let's try that and see if that kills the Echo. Ah, technical frustration. We used to have this all set up last week, and I don't know what's going on, but between then and now we've done all sorts of different things, like put Zoom on it and that kind of thing to try, and everybody's using a different broadcasting system, and Google Hangouts, and it's tedious, I tell you. It's tedious. It's like flying a 747. And then I have people who are like very well meaning, and they're like, oh, you should try this and you should do that, you should do this other thing, and I'm like, Well, I've been dealing with computers for about 40 years of my life. I feel confident that I pretty much know what's going on. But anyway, hopefully that's got things. Oh, good. Now we have no echo. Hi, Alicia. And all right, I was gonna open a toy. So if you don't know me that well, I have always been a giant fan of toys. I always got in trouble in school for having some toy or something with me. And contrary to what my parents told me, as they often do, and they will say something like this to you, whatever your area of interest is, they will tell you that that will never work out into a job. And not entirely true, because I used to be very much into toys, and that eventually got me into prop making for film and television, and it got me into making toys for Mattel toys and Playmates toys and things like that. So I used to work on Hot Wheels, and I used to do Disney dolls, and I used to do. We had a great line of dolls based on DC girls that didn't come out until like last year. There was a version of that, but we did things like this back in 1992. They were absolutely beautiful, really cool She-Ra scale dolls, which were really neat. And I worked on a bunch of terrible movies that didn't do very well, like Judge Dredd and The Last Action Hero, which was Arnold Schwarzenegger, Demolition Man. I did toys for Demolition Man. We never got around to the role play sets for Demolition Man, so nobody got a set of 3 seashells, which was, could be really handy right now that we have a toilet paper crisis going on. But so I've worked on some dogs. I've worked on some great stuff, which has been really terrific. And I got to work on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I worked on the Star Trek action figures for Playmates and ships and tricorders and things like that. And so I've done really good things. But I was that kid growing up where, his parents were like, you're never going to get anywhere in life playing with toys. I beg to differ. So at least for a while there, it actually came into play. So I still like toys, and I like clever toys. And this kind of qualifies as a clever toy. We'll have to check it out. So it has, as is typical, the Disney Galaxy's Edge box style, where it uses this sort of not quite English, not quite Orebesh font on it. The First Order Short Range Evacuation Vehicle. So it says here on the back, within the First Order fleet, troops, officers, and personnel traverse the interiors of massive ships using small fleet transports. Piloted by First Order R5 astromech droids, these vehicles are programmed with ship schematics and security access codes. In the event of a non-recoverable ship emergency, the fleet transports load into the First Order short-range evacuation vehicles. Once ejected, the SREVs use short-range thrusters for maneuvering to refuge and are colored bright red to assist in locating during search and rescue operations. It's just an escape pod. They gotta call it a SREV. I don't know if that's a thing. SREV, SREV. No idea. All right, let's give this an open here. Now, as everything, and this is great. Disney packages everything to within an inch of its life, knowing that you're gonna bang it around the theme park on your way out the door. And honestly, buying something at Galaxy's Edge is about as far from the entrance as you can possibly get. And trucking that around for the rest of the day can be difficult. They will hold things for you. They used to send things to the front of the park, and they won't do that. I think if you stay in a hotel room, they will send it to your hotel room, which is pretty cool. So anything you buy, you can just have it shipped to your room, which would be pretty neat. But, if you're a schlump like me, you got to carry it around in a big bag all day. All right, so I've had this for a couple weeks. It's gotten a little dusty on the box. But, so using the fingernails of doom, let's slice open the box here. It's got a pretty good little sort of window display thing. It's got a couple of try me buttons over here that you can like reach through, decide what you like. And this particular toy actually comes in 4 different versions, which is kind of on the rude side if you're a Star Wars completist. I have never been a Star Wars completist, and that has saved my butt, because I know people who buy, and there's nothing wrong with this if you've got the money, but I know people who buy one to keep in the package and one to open. And that is brutal. I don't have that kind of money. All right. Let's see here. And the way there are 4 different versions of these, it's this guy down here. There's a little R5 droid in the package there, and he comes in different colors. This one's orange. And there's one that is white and blue and red. You get to choose your color. That's the only difference for each of these. So you might not want to be that much of a completist. All right. Get rid of some of the structural packaging here. All right, the vehicle over here while I try and get the droid out of here. All right. I am an unpackaging pro. All right, so here's our R5. He comes with 3 legs. Typical standard Imperial R5 droid. But in this case, and I guess that this is because it's a Disney product, this particular droid is a Droid Factory droid. So you can pop his middle leg out, which I think will come into play when you put him in the rest of the toy. And you can also remove his head. His head comes off, and he's got a little motor and details in there, which is kind of cool. And again, because it's a Droid Factory droid, which are the droids that you can build at Disneyland. They have a big table. You can make your way around the table and build the droid that you want to your specifications. So because it's Droid Factory, he's got a hole in the top of his head. So if you have accessories from the Droid Factory, I think there's an arm accessory that plugs in, and then there's a wizard hat and a Mickey hat and a sombrero and a bunch of funny hats that you can put on your droid. They'll fit with this. And so this is exactly the same droid that you can go build over at Galaxy's Edge, and the legs come off, And so if you want all 4 of those droids and you don't want to buy 4 of these things, just go to Galaxy's Edge and find the body and the head with the white and the red and the blue paint. If they offer it, then you can just build one of these there and not have to worry about buying 4 of these. Before the discount, they're about $70. I don't know what they are with the discount. I think it takes them closer to 50. So there are buttons that are pretty cleverly hidden into the side here. If you look at the design of the ship, they've got these sort of like raised details. And for the action features of the toy and the try me through the box, they have made these all sound buttons. So let me take a look here and see. Some of the toys have a try me switch position, an off and an on. This one just has an off and an on. It looks like it takes maybe AAA batteries in the bottom with the battery door. And it just has an off and an on position. So we don't have to do anything different than what was in the box to actually get it to go. So we have 4 buttons here that seem to do something. And so we'll do button 1. kind of klaxon noise. Did you guys hear about the police department that drove around with a klaxon noise out their car to signal that it was curfew and everybody should be back inside? Except the noise they used was from the horror movie The Purge, and they scared a lot of people. uh, Pretty funny only because you didn't live through it. Although I couldn't imagine having heard that and been too concerned that The Purge was going to happen. Let's see. Okay, so that was button 1. So button 2 has a bunch of droid noises. Button 3. Engine launch noises, pretty good. Button 4. It kind of sounds like a shutdown noise to me. I don't know. Not bad. Okay, so many of these buttons contain engine lights out the back. You can kind of see that they're lit in blue, and they come and go with the sound effects and turn themselves off. Try and give you a little angle on it so you can see that they're lit blue and not just gray. That's pretty cool. So they stay on for a few seconds while you're flying your ship around. And then the front of the ship has lights inside the cockpit. They kind of light things up. They seem to run the entire ceiling of the toy. And then this final launch thing here, I think it does like an engine warm-up thing. Let's see. Wait for the lights to go out again. There we go. And I think the engines like glow into existence. So as far as a theme park toy goes, they put a lot of thought into this. It's a really solid toy. It's because of the shape of it. It's one of those toys you feel like you ought to like throw like a football. It's got that kind of. It's got a good weight to it, and it's all injection molded plastic, but really, really heavy duty injection molded plastic. I'm used to kind of theme park toys being sort of crummy, and this isn't. This is really a pretty solid deal. Look at the comments over here. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, Sean Boundary was saying that he wished they disguised the battery box a little more. I feel like that's something we're going to have to do on our own. And TKDS66 said that he thought the droids were going to be blind bagged. Yeah, I could see where they would do that. I'm glad they didn't, though, because I really just want the orange one, and I got the one I wanted. Because the cart that I rode in had an orange marked droid, and that's the traditional Imperial markings, or orange and black and silver on the droid. So I'm kind of glad they did that, because I'd have been kind of bummed if I got like the white marking one or whatever. So at least you get to choose. Blind bag stuff annoys the crud out of me, although I've gotten pretty good at telling what's in the bag if it's a variety of figures. But something like this where they're all the same, ugh, that would drive me nuts. That would be really bad. And Nick Trapani brought up the Starspeeder 1000. The Starspeeder 1000, I think, is the one that they sold, which was the red and white one. That was good. I do have that one, and maybe I'll bring that out for one of these at some point. I have a whole shelf of really interesting toys, and I could do for the till Disney opens, I could probably do a bunch of Disney show and tells on just Disney park toys, because some of them are great. The sand crawler that they did for the Jawas was really nice, and things along that line. All right, so the droid goes in here, and this is sort of like the interesting part of the whole toy, I think, that they did something that they didn't necessarily need to do, which was super cool. So the back hatch here opens from the closed position, and you can drop it down, and then you can pull out the actual ride car from the ride, which is super neat. Now, of course, more packaging, because, you know, they don't want the paint to go weird. So they have squashed the ride car down. I think the ride car normally will hold 8 people in 2 rows. So this will hold 4 people in 2 rows. You can get 4 action figures in here, and it looks like they made a little bit of an allowance for the legs of figures. Star Wars figures notoriously do not have bendable knees. I've cheated. I've got a stack over here with bendable knees that we'll try to fit into this thing and see if it works. But you know, they did a pretty good job. The cars are supposed to appear to hover in the ride, so they have very minimal rolly wheels, which is about all you need. And as usual, like any toy where they put cheap wheels in it, you know, it's kind of rattly. And then the droid that comes with it is the one that actually controls your ride. So pull that center foot out, I think would be the best way to do it, and then drop the droid here in the socket, and he actually fits pretty well. That's not too bad. The doors on the side don't open, which, you know, I think from a toy design standpoint would have been a real mess to make work, especially because you'd want them to open and close at the same time. For something that's this scale, if you were doing this in maybe the 6-inch scale, you could totally make that happen. But then you would have an escape pod that was about 2.5 feet long, and that would be a little too big, as opposed to the like 3 3/4 scale. I guess it's like 1/12 scale for standard Star Wars action figures. But this is really manageable. And then, you know, they did some neat things. There are no seat belts, but there are little control panels in here that sort of replicate the seat belt sockets that you would put seat belts in. And the fact that it can return to the toy, to the main housing of the toy, the way you do in the ride is actually pretty neat. So, all right. First things first, I went and I grabbed a standard Hasbro R2 unit. This is from Clone Wars, and I think this was Obi-Wan's droid. I don't know. Looks like R4. So I'm going to take that and see if he pops in here. Oh yeah, he looks just great. So it fits in there pretty solidly. And so if you can use sort of one of the weird ones from Clone Wars, you should be able to fit any action figure in here. Any Star Wars astromech probably work. I have a couple that are about that scale that are RC controlled. They have weird legs on them, so I'm not entirely sure that would be functional. But that one's not bad. All right, so I just grabbed a handful of figures that actually have bendable knees on them. So let's see what this thing looks like when, I don't know, properly populated, I guess. This guy's a traitor. He's just looking to get out. Women and children first. Get Ahsoka to represent the kids, I guess. It's in there pretty well. The seats are a little low. And I don't know where this guy came from. He came from like World War II. You know, World War II pilot going on here too. But, you know, equal opportunity, I say. So yeah, I actually think these figures might fit a little bit better were they to have their legs out in front of them as opposed to bent knee, because the seats are really low. And the Stormtrooper has a holster. Let's replace him. We'll replace him with Obi-Wan Kenobi because his holster doesn't really want to work. Although Obi-Wan's got a robe, so I don't know. Seems to work pretty well. And yeah, I think the more straight the legs are out in front of them, the better these things work. So there you go. There's a populated car. Ahsoka looks a little small. She looks asleep in the back there. Here, swap her with Obi-Wan. All right, better? Better. All right, so the deal with this is that it should go straight into the back here. And remember that I mentioned that it had the lights on the inside. There's the lights, which should illuminate all the characters in there, right? That should be pretty cool. So let's see what we got here. Well, that was easy enough. All right, let's see if you can see these guys. I don't know. I think it works pretty well. It doesn't have any landing gear to speak of, which it's an escape pod. I guess doesn't really need any. And the method of deployment in the ride is that they're on a rack, and so it drops out of the rack and then takes off. And so yeah, I can kind of see that. And we certainly don't see it in a properly landed configuration in the ride. So, you know, yeah, if you collect these the Star Wars action figures and you like theme park toys and ones that especially tie into really cool things like Rise of the Resistance, it's not bad. It could use some weathering, I think, just to bring out some of the detail, because there's a lot of very lightweight detail. It has a slight pebbling texture to it, which is a nice thing instead of just smooth plastic, which would tend to make it a little cheap looking, I think. The smooth plastic really isn't anywhere on the entire toy. They've gone with this pebbled texture for the entire surface of the toy. And even the car, the sort of ride car, has kind of a pebbled texture too. I think that helps with the scale of it, because most of the toys that have a smooth finish on them tend to look more toy-like and smaller. So that's kind of neat. Anyway, I'm really kind of impressed with this. It's a fun little thing, and for my money, this will probably find itself hung from the ceiling, because I think it's a pretty neat display at a variety of angles, which is good. And my initial knee-jerk reaction would be to repaint this, because I have a tendency to repaint just about all of the Hasbro toys and things that I get, including the action figures. And that was, some people like to build model kits, and I used to do that a long time ago. As I get older, I'm a little less patient with things like that, and so I tend to repaint things. So let me grab this over here real quick. We do enough building for costumes and things that sometimes just repainting some of the toys is a better deal. So this is one of the Super Effects X-Wings that they released a while back. I was lucky enough to find these at like $10 a pop, which were pretty amazing. And so to get something in this scale, to give you an idea, here's part of a Luke figure inside. And so that's a standard action figure scale. And I gave him a visor for his helmet and a microphone, a little bit of a repaint, make him look a little better. I changed the targeting computer, which is probably hard to see, but I put a tiny, tiny, tiny little lens on here. I don't know if I can get close enough. There we go, a little lens on the targeting computer, which was super cool. And then a lot of detail added to this that wasn't here. I scratched new panels into it. I made it match the ILM models that they created, even though it's a little off because Luke and R2 I think should be about half scale for what they are in here. They're a little too big, I think. But that said, for a toy, it's not too bad. Get the landing gear out here. And this was one of those things too where it had a bunch of things in it, but I think it needs new batteries. But the engines light up on that, and I redetailed the guns, did paint instead of stickers on the wings and things. Anyway, it looks really good, and for somebody who doesn't want to spend $1,200 on a studio scale X-Wing, this one's actually pretty close. And so I have a Millennium Falcon like this that I've done up, and I've got a whole bunch of other spaceships that have been done in that kind of style, just as a thing to relax. You take them apart, you mask stuff off, you take them outside, you spray paint them, you weather them up, and it's a very zen-like activity, which is why it's why I still have action figures, is repainting them and whatnot. It's kind of a super cool thing. So occasionally we'll do something weird with them. We have a Christmas thing that we put up periodically that's called a visit to Jabba Claus. We do like a little Christmas diorama. Some people, put up a regular creche, little baby Jesus. We have Jabba Claus. It is what it is. But it's fun. But there's a lot of people that I know who do that. Sean Boundy was saying that he used to take apart the bigger Micro Machines ships, like the Action Fleet ones that were probably about 6 inches. He'd put Christmas lights in there. That's pretty good, and it's fun stuff. What's with the nails? Says Crazy Old Gamer. I'll tell you. So I'm allergic to myself. I have hives, and so I'm itchy all the time, and I break out on weird, rashy, scary things. You know how in Amityville Horror or The Exorcist and stuff, you see like words appearing on people. I get that. I get the weird designs and patterns. It's called dermographia. I've had it for 30 years. And so as a result, my nails stay kind of long because I'm like itchy all the time. But, I didn't need scissors to open that package. So I got that going for me. But anyway, so we opened Captain Rex last week, or DJ Rex, which was pretty cool. He was pretty fun. He needs a paint job, I've decided. He needs the same kind of treatment that I gave that X-Wing. And he does have, let's see here.
Hello, folks. I'm DJ Rex.
Apparently I didn't get all the rubber bands off him last week. He's still got a visor band. There's a few things that they could have done with this, I think, to make it even cooler, but I don't know, it might have driven the price up. Because they should have done a thing where when he talks, his upper visor moves in like an eyebrow stance, which would have been cool. You can do it. You can manually move it, so you can put him to sleep or make him mad or do whatever you want to do. They did include something that I thought was weird, where his head raises and lowers, which was sort of a weird action feature to do. And of course, you can rotate his arms, which were pretty sweet. Although inevitably they will collide with each other. So, I think that's on the designer's part for the original Star Tours. He never did anything like this. And then he has a motor, so you can back him up and move him forward and turn him around. But he's not a very precise toy. So he drives pretty well, and he turns better when he's moving. But otherwise, he's kind of, you know, about as crazy an RC toy as he was a pilot. And that was tough. But, you know, he's maybe about as nuts as doing BB-8 or something like that. And then his coolest feature, I guess, and one of the things that makes it so that you don't get your discount from Disney, if you're an annual pass holder, you get half your normal discount because he's considered medium. And as a media thing, because he's a Bluetooth speaker, you go. So you get the Star Tours sound when you connect by Bluetooth, and then you can run anything you want through it. So that's Oga's Cantina. And of course, you know, you have to deal with advertising. You go through YouTube.
It's only funny when you bring Pride and Prejudice to it.
Right. I did run Pride and Prejudice through it, and sort of a book on tape, which was pretty fun. Here we go. I'm just looking for a song. There we go. So, he's got pretty good volume. See if I can get him all the way up here. That's pretty good.
I love this song.
And then as you're driving him around, you can interrupt with like pre-recorded sound files.
This next one, I just can't get enough of. Hi there. This is your DJ.
So anyway, it's kind of a cool deal. You can, you know, run him off of any Bluetooth source, which is neat, and he'll play music as you drive him around. It'd be cool if he had sort of an animated mode to just react to the music, which was something I was sort of hoping for. Because occasionally I will do like a live remote for Krypton Radio. And if you don't know, I'm a DJ on KryptonRadio.com. And I have a music show from 9 in the morning to 11, and that's Pacific time here in California, here in Los Angeles. And, you know, it'd be cool doing a remote to just have him connected to the board and let him do his own thing. But not something they had programmed in, which is kind of a bummer. There might be a way to fix that. I don't know. We know very clever people who work at various maker spaces who might decide to hack him. But for now...
If you just joined us, hello, I'm DJ Rex, taking you on a musical tour of the Outer Rim.
So, not too bad. And then, you know, he's got his DJ functions down here where you can do like a little song spacer and his air horn. And you're supposed to scratch. But I think my scratcher is not the best, so. But that's okay. I'm going to take him apart and give him a repaint and make him look a little better anyway, and do it. So that's what I didn't get to show you last week, was his...
You're on the decks with DJ Rex. What's your request?
His, you know, RC functions, which were pretty neat. But he is a little insane. And driving him around, he doesn't like carpet very well. Much better on a wood floor. I've got him on the table, of course.
Once again, this is your DJ Rex, piloting you on a tour through the beats of the galaxy.
And so I guess to some extent you can kind of give him a little puppeteering thing and act him out. And...
a loose wire. That's not safe. Someone could get... Ah, I've got a bad feeling about this.
but not too bad. And in my opinion, he's kind of worth it. But I'm crazy, so what can I say? But after a repaint, and getting, remember I was talking about the toy-like look of it. The plastic here on Rex has that kind of toy-like look to me, where it's very smooth. They weathered him. They did a bunch of like silver paint, scratches, and things, and that's pretty cool. But I think he'd have looked a lot more solid had they gone for a more pebbled texture, like the escape pod, which was really, I think, pretty good. So his drive mechanism is pretty simple: two wheels, and then he's got two roller balls just to keep stability. And when he turns, he'll have one wheel activate or another wheel activate. He seems to turn on kind of an S instead of in a direct circle. But it's pretty well designed and way more than they needed to do for a toy like this. And I think after a repaint, he can look pretty much the way he does in Oga's Cantina, and that would be pretty awesome. So that's one of my next projects. But that also means that I've got to get paint, and we're not really going anywhere except where we're supposed to go. So we'll see how that shakes out. If I don't have orange paint in the garage, I might be out of luck. Anyway, I'll take a quick look here through the messages. And Sean was saying that he wishes somebody made Johnny 5. That would have been pretty great. And I'd have liked to have seen some of the Johnny 5 like animation that you expect from that character in Rex. They did get Paul Rubens to do the voice, which is great. So you got the original voice going on. But yeah, as Sean points out, he kind of needs to be faster. He's such an animated character now, especially. When he was in Star Tours, he was kind of sluggish, but now that he's gotten an upgrade and he's DJ Rex, he's pretty fast. The turns on the character, those are fast, but that's just one quick push of the button. If I just hit the button once, I get a 180, 190 degree turn, which is kind of a lot. And if I back him up, and I back him up straight, that's one push of the button. So he's not designed for precision. He's more designed to wildly gamble around the room. Which seems to fit Captain Rex, but it's still kind of wacky. But yeah, whatever worm gear is driving his head is pretty slow, and maybe needs to be lubricated more because it's kind of grindy. And then the arm movements are pretty good, and those I don't think you want too fast. But also there's no other movement for the arm. You can pose them. So if you want to bring them down and whatever you want to do, you can certainly do that. But there's no other articulation for it. So for a toy, he's fitting a toy, and not too bad. But as always, we will make him better, stronger, faster, and it's pretty good. Yeah. Dawn was mentioning Black Spire Outpost, the book. I'm in the middle of the book. I got to finish it up. I put it down because things got really busy, and I will inevitably pick it up again. It's like right by the side of my bed, and I need to read it so Colleen can read it. But yeah, the part that I made it through, it's really fun seeing all of the lore of Black Spire woven into that book, which is cool. And it's one of the things at Black Spire Outpost that I really like doing. I talk to the cast members. I learn the lore that they have, and then I will turn around and I will give that to people who haven't been before on a tour. And so when my friends come to Galaxy's Edge, I'll act as tour guide and show them around, show them the lore, point out the Easter eggs. Let them. I'll aim them at the things I think they should experience, and then if they're not quite getting it, I'll kind of nudge them along and go, "Oh, did you see that?" Because that's the thing that I enjoy so much, is how much hidden stuff is there, how much of the land has a background and has stories. And when we did Life Day there, back in November, it was really an awful lot of fun because the cast members there didn't really know much about Life Day, and so we indoctrinated them to that. And by the time that we left that night, word had spread through the rest of the park, so that as we walked out the park, people, cast members, were saying "Happy Life Day," and which was really kind of fun. Because on our way in, they're like, "What's this for? What's going on?" And by the time we left, it was a huge deal. And the biggest compliment we got over that was that they asked us back. So we're going to do it again in November. When all things are back to normal, hopefully. We're going to do it again, and well, hopefully we'll be as organized and it will be as fun a thing as it was last time. But it was nice to have been able to add just a little bit to their lore of Galaxy's Edge, because I've been there and talking to somebody, and one of the cast members has gone, "Oh my gosh, did you hear about our Life Day celebration?" I'm like, "Yeah, yes, I did." Which was super super fun. So yeah, I do want to read the book.
Or is my battery draining?
I think Rex is going to sleep. Um, but anyway, it's kind of fun. Sorry we got such a slow start, and yeah, and so Dawn, that was you that brought the rubber wristbands, right, for everybody. I mean, that was amazing. Everybody really got into it, and everybody built their Life Day globes, and everybody had just such a fun time. And we'll do it again. Although Life Day falls on Dapper Day in November, so we'll have to see how that all goes. But yeah, we met a lot of really cool people through that who are still hanging out. But we're all the the weekend that we had to stay home, that they decided that we needed to stay home, was the weekend I was going to go to Savi's and build my lightsaber. I still haven't done that yet. It was my Christmas present. I was going to do it in March, and we canceled our trip on the 8th. I think we were going to go, and so I still haven't done it. So I have that to look forward to when we come back, and it'll be good. But I was supposed to have done that by now, and I'm like, hey. But better to be safe and be in well health, as opposed to having missed out on that. So it'll be there eventually. It'll come back. It'll be really great. And so Sean was saying that his family was gonna surprise him, and yeah, it's really tough. I mean, Disney's not a cheap. It's not a cheap experience, and I can't imagine that being shut down for several months is going to make that any better. They're being very kind for people who have extended tickets and honoring those, and people who have annual passes, and suspending monthly payments and extending the days and things like that. You have a couple choices of what you can do with it, but I can't imagine it's going to make our experience any less expensive at Disneyland. Wow, the $18 churros. But they're taking care of their employees, and that's important too. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I think that's about it for me. I just kind of wanted to do something kind of fun. Sorry we got off to such a rocky start. But lesson learned is that if you've been doing Zoom or some other video conferencing, you may not be able to use your microphone right off the bat, because that program, in our case it was Zoom, may still be holding on to it. So we'll have to see. But beyond that, have a great one, guys. Maybe we'll do this again next weekend, or maybe I'll do something in the middle of the week. Like I said, I've got a bajillion things to show and tell for, and honestly, maybe I'll just bring out a Lego kit and throw the camera on, and we'll all chat. See if you guys want to grab some Lego kits too, and we'll just build Legos across the ether and see. I think Rex has gone to sleep over here. There he goes.
Roger, Control. All status go.
All status go, and I'm gonna go. Have a great one, guys. As always, may the force be with you. If for some reason you need more or you want to chat with me, I do my morning radio show from Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time to 11 a.m. Pacific time. And on Discord, you guys can make requests. You can talk about music. We can have the same kind of discussion that we've been having over here without the video. You don't need to see me in my bathrobe in the morning. And then Thursday night, Colleen and myself and Jeff Soledanoho have been doing a show for almost 8 years that's called Docking Bay 94. We talk about the Week in Geek, the movies that did and didn't come out, what people are streaming, news in the sci-fi realm. Kit Boba Kit Sovine puts up all of our cool Facebook links and things so that you can play along. And we do that on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and KryptonRadio.com, which is our mothership, where you can just hear the audio, because we started as a radio station. It's been going on for 10 years now, so it's kind of nuts. So that's like my day job, in case you wanted to know. And we can talk with you guys more, because it's always fun kind of poking around and hanging out as much as we're able, because I'm a total extrovert, and I love going to parties and meeting people and talking to people, and this is not conducive to that. But a lot of the video chatting and stuff has been really good too. So and I don't know, maybe this is something we should do on something else like Zoom or Google Hangouts or something. But I'm always up for anything, so just let me know. In the meantime, have a great one. Take care of yourselves. Be well, and may the force be with you.